here is the fastest way to level up your weapons in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone Season 4. I'm sure a lot of you guys will be struggling with this, but with these tips, most methods will get your weapon to max level in under 20 to 30 minutes, really easily. So if you're struggling, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do it quickly. All I would ask is be sure to leave a like if you find this video useful so that other people find the video too, and check out my other Season 4 guides, like how to level up the Battle Pass fast, unlocking certain weapons like the M13B ISO Hemlock, the new MX Guardian shotgun, and other DMZ guides like faction missions, that kind of thing. There's also going to be timestamps in the description if you want to jump to a specific part of the video, because not all the tips are for everyone. Some people will find more bits useful than others. But without further ado, let's dive straight in and get into those tips. So we'll start with Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, and then we'll move on to Warzone Battle Royale and DMZ before talking about the boosts at the end. And I think in terms of multiplayer, one of the most important things that people often overlook is the class setup. And it's important, as many people don't know, that lots of your class setup can actually secretly earn you more weapon XP. So let's talk about that now. The first main thing you're going to want to focus on is perks. So make sure for tier 1 you put on something like extra tactical and scavenger. The extra tactical is important, and I'll talk about that in a second, and the scavenger helps you to resupply ammo from dead players. If you don't like scavenger, you can also put on tracker so you can see enemy footprint trails and kill more enemies. For tier 2 I would put on fast hands so you can reload faster, and for tier 3 you want to put on overclock so you can earn your field upgrade faster. Again, that's really important, and I'll explain in just a second. For the tactical equipment, you're going to want to put on decoy grenades, as these count towards weapon XP, and for the lethal, put something like Semtex that you can chuck across the map. And for the field upgrades, you want to put on DDoS, as this is one of the best ones. It's easy to activate, it recharges quickly, and you can use it quite a lot, and it's really easy to use. It doesn't involve you putting your weapon away, you can use your weapon at the same time, so it's really easy to use. And for the score streaks, I would recommend putting on something like UAV, and then a counter UAV, and then another option such as a sentry turret, VTOL, something like that. So again, all of these parts of your class setup will help you to earn more weapon XP, including your score streaks, lethals, that kind of thing. Now, the best game mode will be whatever the close quarters mosh pit is at the time. So currently in Season 4 Reloaded, we've got the new Vondel waterfront map, which is the new 6v6 map. We've also got Shoot House and Shipment, and there's another close quarters mode as well. So ideally, I would recommend going for Shipment 24/7 if possible, but if that's not around, go for whatever the close quarters mosh pit mode is. Now, Shipment is the best one to go for because obviously it's a smaller map, there's more enemies that you can come across, it's just very easy to get kills, but you might find it annoying at the moment because lots of people are trying to get the shotgun challenge done. So if you find that annoying, obviously go into another mode, but Shipment ideally is the best. Now, most people will just blindly run around the map getting kills thinking that that will level up their weapons, but they are wrong. So let's look at what you actually need to do to level up your weapons fast. Now, of course, getting kills is an important part of weapon XP, so do obviously try and push for as many kills as you can, as well as aiming down sight before going around corners, taking cover, pushing into enemy spawns, flanking around the edge of the map, that kind of thing. But there's a few other things that you need to do. So when you spawn in, make sure you guys throw your decoy grenades. Because you put on the extra tactical, you'll have 3 instead of 2. I would quickly throw them in every single time as soon as you spawn in. So for example, if you're playing Shipment, or although this can work on any map, but if you're playing Shipment, 1 in the left lane, 1 in the center lane, 1 in the right lane, just do that as quickly as you can, and you just kind of want to throw them around as much as you can so that you can cover as much ground as possible. Now, each time you throw these 3 decoy grenades, you'll see loads of decoy assist XP popping up, normally up to about 260 XP per spawn from these 3 decoy grenades, and this alone will get you many thousands of XP by the end of the match, although obviously the more you throw them, the easier it will be. Then what you want to do is keep rushing around getting kills, and when your DDoS field upgrade is charged and the meter fills black with at least 1 bar to show devices are in range, activate your DDoS, and this will give you at least 60 to 100 XP, if not more, per use, and this recharges very quickly thanks to your overclock perk and fast base recharge time, so you can call them in many times throughout the match. Now, it's very easy to use, it takes around a second to activate, and you can still shoot your weapon if there are enemies nearby while you're using it, and it's better than other field upgrades like a smoke airdrop, which gives you slightly higher XP but has a slower recharge time and takes ages to use, and obviously there's risks of dying because you're pulling up the tablet and so on. Now, finally, what you want to do is go for the objective as much as you can, as this will get you more XP too, and obviously make sure you have the weapon you want to level up in your hand, because that will give you passive XP, and every time you get kills and do the objective, you'll get more XP, whereas if you've got your other weapon out, it won't count towards the main weapon you want to level up. So what modes are best? Well, obviously, like I said, the actual mosh pit mode itself is Shipment. That's normally the best mode if you can, or any other close quarters mode, but within that there are certain modes that are better than others. So in particular, the ones you want to focus on are Grind, Kill Confirmed, and then Domination or Hardpoint. Those are the main ones you want to focus on because they're much better. The reason for that is because the more you go for the objective, actually capturing the objective or defending it will get you weapon XP just for doing it. So even just following the objective will get you a lot of weapon XP on top of the kills. Now, Grind is particularly good because you get a lot of XP from picking up tags, and there's tons of tags to pick up across the map, but you also get an awful lot of XP for depositing those tags in the bank. Now there's a bank on either side of the map, so there's an A and a B one, and normally what the best thing to do is collect loads of tags, run over to the bank, and then dolphin dive into it so you can deposit them as quickly as possible and be less obvious so that enemies can't kill you as easily. So grind is really, really good, and I'd highly recommend getting into that one if you can more than others. If not, the other ones are good are kill confirmed, where you can just collect dog tags, but obviously you can't deposit them anywhere. There's also domination, where you capture the dom flags or sit on them and shoot enemies to defend it, or you can kill enemies on the dom flags. So either killing people on the dom flag, or sitting on it yourself to capture it, or sitting on it to defend it and shooting people while you're on it. All of those things will get you a lot of XP, more than just getting kills or, you know, completing the objective by itself. The other mode is hardpoint. This is similar to domination, so you can either capture the hardpoint or defend the team's hardpoint by sitting on it and shooting enemies away from it, or you can attack enemies that are on the hardpoint and get more XP than just normal kills. What I would say is for these kind of modes like domination and hardpoint, you want something a bit more beefy for the lethal, so you can throw Semtexes or C4, whatever you want, just something else that you can chuck in and do loads of damage, you know, to get the enemies off of it. And then while you're sitting on it, it might be useful to have a trophy system to protect yourself instead of something like the DDoS, but it just depends on what kind of mode you're playing. So as well as getting kills, be sure to use your weapons to destroy enemy equipment, enemy field upgrades, enemy kill streaks, as all of this adds up too. So anytime you see any of those spawn in, make sure you destroy them with your weapon, and also try and go for more exciting kills as well, for which you earn medals and hence more weapon XP. So for example, getting headshots, long shots, bloodthirsties, rapid kills, point blank kills, all those things will all get you more XP than just getting a normal kill by itself. If you don't like those modes, there are other ones available. So you could play hardcore, as enemies have less health, so die faster, and it's easier to get lots of kills and rack up weapon XP fast, although unfortunately generally these don't have exciting modes like shipment. It's just normally other modes like free for all and TDM, so it still can be good, but it depends what map and mode you're playing within hardcore. There are other objective modes as well, like standard, domination, hardpoint, that kind of thing, as completing these objectives count towards your weapon XP. So it's up to you, but ideally I would say things like shoot house, shipment, or any of the close quarters maps are best. I don't personally really like the Vondel waterfront map, but if you do, obviously feel free to go for it. And of course there's other modes like invasion as well, where you can, you know, kill the AI, kill lots of enemies and that kind of thing, and you can keep going up to ammo reserves, pick up lots of ammo, kill these AI, kill the enemies, flank round the edge of the map to get into spawns, and you can get lots of enemy kills, although it's a bit more difficult and a bit less predictable, and it's generally not quite as good anymore compared to the fast-paced small map modes like shipment. For more difficult weapons, what you can do, there's a number of things you can do. So for example, the combat knife, launchers, riot shield, those kind of weapons that might be a little bit more difficult, you can either, you know, keep them as your secondary weapon and then switch to it when playing a game mode such as kill confirmed or grind or domination, as this will allow you to get a lot of passive weapon XP. So for example, if you're playing kill confirmed, have the weapon that you use to get the kills and then swap to the difficult weapon like a combat knife or launcher when you're about to pick up the tag, and that simple process of picking up the tag will get you weapon XP for that secondary weapon. And obviously the more time you hold out your secondary weapon, it will get you more passive XP as well. This is good because obviously it's more of a passive and slow paced way of doing it, but if you're doing it slowly but regularly, it will soon add up. Whereas if you try and go to get all of the weapon XP for your weapon in one go for a difficult weapon like a launcher or a combat knife, it's a lot more difficult and frustrating, and it feels like a much bigger and more difficult process. But if you do it slowly over time, it's an easier way to do it. So I would recommend having it as a secondary for those more difficult weapons, but obviously you can just go straight for it if you want to. So that's it for Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. What about for Warzone 2 in terms of Battle Royale and DMZ? Well, for Battle Royale, there's lots of different things you can do. So what modes would I recommend? Well, currently there's two great modes that are going to be in the game. Right now it's Plunder, which is great because you have custom loadouts, infinite respawns and no gas cloud. Or from next week onwards, there'll be at least I think 2 weeks of the new mode Vondel Lockdown, where you have 8 different zones and you need to capture them. Some of them will be worth more XP than others depending on if it's a high value zone or not, and towards the end of the match you get more XP for all of them. Now if you're playing Vondel Lockdown, the more people you have on your team capturing the zone, the more XP you'll get. So you'll get I think it's about 30 XP just on by itself, but you'll get another 20 XP per other player that's with you on that zone. So if you get one extra player, it's another 20 XP every few seconds. If you get 2 players, it's an extra 40 XP, and so on. So the more players you have sticking with you on that zone, the quicker you'll do it. It lasts for about 2 minutes and then the zones go inactive, and then they become active again and they move elsewhere. So just keep trying to move around and capture the zones as the main thing. Obviously while you're on the zones you can also get kills, but the main thing is capturing the zone. So that's a really good mode, and that'll be around for next week. It's good for XP, but in the meantime I think Plunder is pretty good, and it's just as good if not better than Vondel Lockdown. Of course you can play other things like Resurgence and normal Battle Royale, but I think those are less good for XP because you can't choose your weapon as easily. So let's say you want to play Plunder. What can you actually do to level up your weapons fast in Battle Royale in terms of Plunder? Well, there's a number of things you can do. Obviously, you can spawn in with your weapon and make sure you have your weapon equipped the whole time, because again, you'll get passive XP for the game and you'll get XP for doing things as well. So make sure you've always got the weapon you want to level up in your hand, and make sure you are using the pre-game lobby to get lots of kills, as this will help you get quite a few extra kills at the beginning of the match, and it will get you a lot of XP as a bonus just for getting those kills. So obviously make sure you're doing that. The other thing is, of course, you want to be going for kills, but the main thing for Plunder really is, well, there's two main things. One of them is opening loot boxes to earn money and do better in the match, and that will get you some XP again along the way, which is quite good. The other thing, which is the best thing to do, is you want to keep doing contracts over and over again as quickly as you can. So there's good ones, including, you know, Safecracker, Intel. There was a Most Wanted, but it was taken out of the game. I don't think it's back in the game yet, unfortunately. And there's other contracts as well. But those are the main ones. Keep going for Safecracker and Secure Intel. For Safecracker, you have to start the contract, open 3 safes one at a time. When you open it, you'll detonate C4. Don't get too close or you'll take explosion damage. And the other one is Secure Intel, where you start a contract, which gives you the intel, and then you want to head to a computer terminal, normally near a radio tower or something, to upload the intel, and you just stay with it till the progress is done. Those are quite good and one of the fastest ways to level your weapons, and you get a lot of XP per go. What I'd recommend is whatever contract you're doing, make sure you go between them quickly with a vehicle like a helicopter or an ATV quad bike or something like that, so you can just get around the map faster. There are other contracts as well, but I would say those are probably the best ones to go for. You can go for things like bounties as well, but obviously there's a bit more variability with those contracts. And like I say, just make sure you're using vehicles to keep going around the contracts to get them done as quickly as possible. If Most Wanted contracts come back, these are really, really good, because you get 5,000 weapon XP or 10,000 with a double weapon XP token, and you can reduce the amount of time it takes with a few sneaky tricks. So every time you or your teammates open loot boxes, it will decrease the timer where you have to survive for 3 or 4 minutes. It decreases that by 10 seconds at a time. So while it's counting down the time, you can also open a bunch of loot boxes, and that will drastically reduce the time that you need to survive for as the Most Wanted contract, and that gets you a lot of XP. It was previously broken, but obviously I think they've taken it out of the game now. So just keep searching buildings for loot crates, open them and run down the timer as much as you can. The other thing is, obviously, because you're opening more loot crates as well, you'll get more XP from that as well. So it's beneficial for multiple reasons. Obviously, you'll still be marked as the Most Wanted, so just take care and try not to die, and ideally try and stick with teammates if you can, so you don't fail the contract. I would say the Most Wanted contracts are the most efficient way to level up your weapons in Warzone, but obviously if they're not in the game, then you can't do anything about it. You can also use the store to level up weapons as well. Unfortunately, it's a very small amount of XP now, but the more stuff you buy, the more XP you get, so it's still a good bonus. So what you want to do is, while you're doing all these other things like, you know, doing contracts, you also want to try and collect cash if you can. So ideally land at business buildings, shops, gas stations, that kind of thing. It will have lots of cash registers, lots of places where there's cash on the shelves, that kind of thing. And collecting all that cash is good, because again, that in itself will get you XP, but also the more cash you loot, the more you can spend. So once you've got enough cash, head over to a buy station and continually buy lower value items, things like armor plates for a few $100s. And when you spend that money, you'll get a bunch of XP just from spending that money. So you'll easily level up your weapons from that as well, as a nice juicy bonus. So I think that's pretty much everything I could say for Battle Royale without kind of dragging it out. So the next thing I want to talk about is DMZ. Now obviously you can find floor loot, or you can buy weapons in the game, or you can select a custom loadout to spawn in with, but obviously this has a cooldown. So if you need to unlock the insured weapon slots in Season 4 because they were reset, feel free to check out my guide via the card on screen or link in the description. There's loads of new things in DMZ Season 4, so make sure you're upgrading everything, you know, your insured weapon slots, getting a wallet, that kind of thing. Then what you want to do is kind of spawn in and get obviously a bunch of AI bot kills while you're running around the map or driving or whatever. You want to loot as much as possible, as that will give you weapon XP too, and again have your weapon out because that will give you more passive XP just for holding your weapon out. Make sure to, you know, restock an ammo regularly, make sure you've got some armor with you, make sure you've got a good active duty slot, so ideally have a score streak, a self revive, 2 or 3 plate armor vest, bigger backpack, that kind of thing. So obviously keep looting, keep getting kills. Ideally you want to be doing contracts as well. You can do whatever contracts you want, but I say the best kind of ones are the secure supplies contracts. It's similar to Safecracker. You basically open 3 loot crates, but you just got to open them, you haven't got to do anything else, and they normally give you lots of good gear as well, which helps you to survive longer. So do those. You can do things like opening drill safes or raid weapons stash. There's other ones as well, so but I would say the secure supplies is probably the best one to go for, as it gives you lots of XP easily just for doing very little. So do as many contracts as you you can, get the kills, keep driving around the map as much as you can, as every new point of interest area you go to gives you XP, so just literally going around the map will get you lots of XP too, and you basically want to kind of just be increasing all of those bonuses in DMZ. So these boosts include the players revived, so if any of your teammates go down, make sure you revive them. Make sure you're opening as many supply drops as you can, so these obviously you can shoot these down from planes in the sky if you capture a SAM turret, or sometimes they'll drop in every now and then. So make sure you're opening these supply drops. They give you good things like golden skulls or key cards, whatever you need, and cash, things like that, good weapons. So make sure you're opening those, they give you XP as well. Make sure you're getting as many AI kills, opening as many loot containers as you can, visiting those points of interest like I mentioned, and then obviously side missions as well, things like capturing UAV towers, capturing missile sites, that kind of thing. And finally, obviously make sure you're exfilling as well. So give yourself enough time and effort to actually be able to go and exfil. If you do all those things, you're going to get a massive bonus alongside getting kills and doing contracts and stuff, and that's all going to give you tons of weapon XP for your weapon. So that's it for DMZ. Now let's finally talk about the different weapon XP boosts in the game. So the first thing is obviously double weapon XP weekends and tokens. So double weapon XP weekends are common. We had one recently. I'm sure there'll be one very soon again, so take advantage of these when they're around. And for double weapon XP tokens, you can get these from tons of different places in the game. You can get them from free PlayStation packs if you're on PlayStation, so check the PS Store. The campaign's got some for completing it. DMZ faction missions will give you them. The For You section of the store sometimes has free bundles, including, you know, weapon XP tokens. The events do as well. Every new season has events where you can earn weapon XP tokens. Leveling up the battle pass to certain tiers or completing certain sectors will give you weapon XP tokens as well. That's just to name a few different ways of getting it. So there's tons of ways you can get weapon XP tokens, so just make sure you're making the most of all of those. And obviously once you've got it active, just remember it counts down in real time, so make sure you're being as efficient as you can with those tokens. If you're on PlayStation, you can also get a 25% weapon XP bonus for playing with a teammate, so pair that with all the other tips and you level up your guns really fast. And finally, in Warzone, players who own Modern Warfare 2, you know, the full game, will get an XP and weapon XP bonus at the end of the match, so make sure you don't leave early if you're playing Warzone. And if you do all those things together, you are going to get a ton of weapon XP and level up your weapons really fast. So these are the fastest ways to level up your guns currently in Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone Season 4. If you found these tips helpful, leave a like on the video, would be much appreciated so that other people can find this video too. As previously mentioned, I've got tons of useful guides for Season 4, you know, unlocking certain weapons, leveling up the battle pass, AFK battle pass token glitch, all that kind of stuff, so feel free to check it out on my channel, DMZ faction missions, all that kind of stuff. And if these videos are helpful to you guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon next to it to stay up to date with all my latest Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone videos. But thank you so much for watching, hope you found it useful, and I'll see you guys all on the next one.